We might be live, ladies and gentlemen. This is Steve with the Arcane Bear. We are back in the Bear Cave, and we are going to be... Well, it's been a while. We're going to be diving into some sentiment analysis for Bitcoin. We're going to take a Litecoin overview as well, mostly because it did something nice and it showed us one of our favorite patterns. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. So in the meantime, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and Litecoin's falling wedge. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to work still. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, so I'm just going to assume that it's all working, and then we'll just roll forward, because otherwise I'm going to have to think, and I'm not really good at thinking. I function much better in the doing situation. So the last time we were live with you guys, we were looking at Bitcoin. One of the things we love to do, obviously, I probably don't even have to say it, but this a bull flag that we had been watching since around $13,000 back here in June and July. Now, originally in a lot of our writings in our private member group, what we were talking about was the bull flag in traditional markets usually only retrace around 48%. Then if you break below that 48%, then you've technically invalidated that bull flag. And I've long speculated that because of the 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week trading, you have a little bit more of like a sharp edge on the emotional continuity in the trading playground of the crypto space as compared with the traditional markets. Again, there's no like plunge protection team here on Bitcoin or anything like this. So there's a little bit more volatility. And because of that, even though we had broken down here, it's almost like, if we take it right from the peak of this wick here for Bitcoin, it's around 53%. So we only by a 5%, 5.2%-ish, we broke the regular validation for the bull flag. And that's important to note because I think as a trader, you're always looking for let's call it for this particular sentiment, because we've been doing so much viral study, basically the mutation of our traditional sentiments. So when we're looking at wedges, are they sometimes shorter? Or even the cup and handle, are they sometimes going to display themselves in a shorter time frame than what we were traditionally used to because of these accelerated market moves? So it was fantastic to see Bitcoin bounce up out of here. Even for a little while, we were postulating that this, you could kind of look at this as a falling wedge too, which is both bull flag and falling wedge are generally quite strong reversals. Although they can, at least with the wedge, you can be considered a continuation pattern, but that's basically unimportant for argument right now. So we were watching this bull flag. Again, you could have pulled it down into a wedge, and I would speculate that that's also a decent way to look at it, because again, pattern recognition here is usually between a few different areas of where's your support and resistance coming from, etc. So this breakout now being above the bull flag is actually quite a strong indicator. Although again, if it's a wedge, as those of you that are in the private bear den with us, you know that wedge is one of our favorite trading patterns now. We can find them all over the place sometimes, it feels like, but you don't want to fall into an echo chamber. But the idea here being that they don't always produce moon-like behavior, whereas the bull flag itself is actually a stronger bullish signal. So you generally get the length of the flag, again, which would bring us to around $20,000. So again, there's two potential outcomes here on the positive side that I want to go over, followed by the downside. Again, the downside was that we could come down to around 5,400. We didn't. We broke out of the wedge, which was nice to see, with a small little head and shoulders down at the bottom here as well. So with the bull flag is actually a much stronger bullish indicator. The resulting bull market, or not bull market, but bull move that you get after a bull flag is comparison with just a falling wedge is actually significantly stronger. Again, what you end up seeing is the extension of the flag from the bottom of the flag and flagpole that you take, and you now move it down to the bottom of your bullish flag here like this, essentially, which would bring us around to $15,000 to $18,000 again, because I assume accentuation in these markets through that emotional volatility. We could see it go much higher again. That's on the bull flag, if that's what the breakout was. Again, if it was actually just the breakout of a falling wedge, sometimes 10% is all you see. So you could argue now that this would be the downside potential, is that what we're looking at is, again, a smaller A, B, C correction off of what might have been a B wave from back here in the first place. Now, again, the only reason I think it's important, well, I guess not the only reason, but it's actually generally always important to try to look at the downside of things, to be optimistic. I think being optimistic is always just a smart way to live life. Otherwise you're going to live fairly nihilistically. But the sentiment here is that, okay, well, even though Bitcoin could go lower, this is just more time and opportunity. There's a lot of really pertinent things on the news right now. Like if you look at all of my other screens right now, the coronavirus health maps from, look at this, we got Harvard on this one, Boston Medical University, Wu Flu Live. This is a fascinating little, I don't know what to call it without sounding a little perturbed here, but whatever's going on in the growth of the coronavirus it's just a very interesting storyline to follow, because we are always in history as it's taking place, and we don't always recognize the fact that history is being made. And it reminds me, well, not the coronavirus doesn't remind me of Bitcoin, but just that constant reminder that we had with Bitcoin back in 2017, we saw these like blazing highs, was that we are part of history right now. That there's a lot of people taking note of this space in the sector, and these are defining moments of what may come next. So I think it's super important to keep an open mind and be optimistic, even though some things look perturbingly bad, especially because there's always something crazy going on in the news. We could get hit by asteroids at any point. So again, if we see the extension, I don't know, I went off to a random little rant there. Just got to appreciate the total outskirts of life. The bull flag would put us around 15 to 18,000. It would move quite quickly too. We could be seeing that extension right now. And again, it could have been a wedge, which we would see the end of and a return back down below your moving averages. Now, if I leave this flag here, because this is what I originally thought it was back here in June, and I will stand by that sentiment. It's better just to pick one sentiment and let it ride for 6 months. I didn't really change it. I did say on Tone's show that I thought I could go to 5,400 if we were looking at that wedge instead of the flag, but I try to be more conservative than optimistic in price points, because I think it just allows more time to be patient. It's like, okay, well, even if it goes down, it's not that big of a deal, where if you get the mindset of, oh my God, it's going up now, just buy and spend as much as you can, I think you lose the investor mentality. Even as a trader, I think the investor mentality is probably one of the wealthiest formats for, I guess, indulging your mind in whether it's an educational process or literally a financial investment. Going through the process of knocking off $50 a week into an idea, whether maybe it's just playing music, it's 5 hours a week, $10 an hour, you got 5 hours every week, killing it. By the time 10 years goes by, you're a fantastic musician, only by that little bit of extra work. And I think an investment portfolio often suits that idea as well. I'm not super aggressive. Well, it doesn't always appear that way, I'm sure, but I'm generally not that aggressive. I like a calm, stable growth pattern. Things like Bitcoin are beautiful. I mean, we saw Tesla this week go up a few hundred, or not this week, but the last few months go up a few 100%. And it's that, there are great ideas happening all over the place, and being a part of that, investing yourself into whatever part of the sectors you can. Like lately, I've actually been trying to find companies to invest that are investing in the MDMA and psychedelic space, etc. So anyways, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent. I do think we are on a fully bullish indicator now with Bitcoin, unless we get stuck at the resistance at around 1080. Again, if we get stuck at that line, we come back down, it would be just that big B wave that we have been talking about since $6,000 back here. Either way, long term, I think Bitcoin's going to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whether it goes to millions or not, whether we even want it to, that's maybe a different type of philosophical question as we move into a more open source, digitally native society. I think the need for greater inclusivity instead of exclusivity will reign supreme. Although that's not always the first iterations of tech. Anyways, I've gone off on a total tangent. So let's jump in and take a Litecoin looky-loo. Litecoin gave us a really beautiful remark, and this was a really nice play for all of you that guys are in the private bear newsletter. The last month or two we've been focusing on. I mean, really, what I try to do is just empower you guys with the same tools that I use to make it worth your while to be trading and investing, I think, as well. It's just the camaraderie of the bear community. But we've been watching these falling wedges. They're generally a very easy reversal pattern off these bottoms. And you can actually even go back and kind of chart previous wedges in the past with Litecoin too. And that's what we had done in some of the private newsletter, was just looking at these falling wedges because they represent a very potent reversal opportunity. And you also, I like this too, you very often want to look for the bullish divergence on the RSI. So here we have a falling price, a rising RSI up here, down at the bottom here. So falling price, rising RSI. And again, you see that over here in Litecoin. You saw that we had a lowering of a price point, but a slightly higher RSI. Not a huge difference here, just slightly higher. And that's important. That's what you're looking for, these channels and breakouts. So the wedge itself, we hit our first targets here, which was great. And what I like about TradingView is, I mean, they record all the mistakes and the wins. But if you go to tradingview.com, if you haven't signed up yet, we do keep some of our free charts here. Shout out to Jerry and John for always helping update these while we're on the move. This is Fetch, not Litecoin. Let's go take. Yeah, these wedges have been great. So here's the Litecoin wedge. We drew this back in December 28th. You watch it play out. Bang. So we hit the first part of resistance. Do we go up to the second part? Again, I think this becomes the greater question of Litecoin and Bitcoin's relationship. And this is something for anyone that's listened to the channel for a long time, I love looking at Litecoin on the long term because you see this multi-year relationship with Bitcoin. And that's something that's really fascinating to me because, again, the driver of interest and intrigue that I have for this sector is the way it relates to itself. It's like I think that made probably for anyone that's listening, that made a very clear sentiment of why I appreciate this, because you're always looking for a type of subjectivity in relationship, right? So if you can have this stock versus this stock, well, we know that these companies represent this value based off these assets and these earnings and da-da-da-da-da. What we have here is a type of digital, and I'm just kind of riffing on this sentiment, but what we have here is basically a rough copy of digital scarcity versus other forms of digital scarcity. I'm going to call them beanie babies. It's people, there's probably some Bitcoiners who would think I'm being rude here, but they're like digital collector's items, these private keys and these stored cryptographic hashes, etc. So the relationship, and this is one of the reasons I've always argued that Litecoin wouldn't go to a quarter of a Bitcoin, is because it's never even gotten close, not even a tenth of one. But the relationship is what interests me, because you have all the way back down here, 2013, you see these very low peaks down around 4,300 Satoshis, and then big spikes, a few 100% up. And you've seen this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've seen it essentially 9 times. So we can assume that there's going to be some type of repetition and pattern. And when you have a repetitious pattern that's around 170%, that happens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Again, I don't know why I just counted that all over again for no reason. But anyways, you can be quite patient, because what we understand is, look, ladies and gentlemen, you have a bull market cycle for Litecoin that lasted for approximately 60 days. That's it, 60 days on the up cycle. And then the down cycle, oh my, the down cycle, look how long you're in a down cycle for, 500, 600 days. 600 days, okay, let's assume that this is all one peak. For this first bump here, 162 days at all of those. You get 3 chances to potentially exit or rediversify. And these just represent accumulation and potential exit areas. So what I like about this is it represents the opportunity for multi-100% gains on a frequent basis if you're paying attention, that generally lasts, you get one every 600 days. approximately, right? Now it's been increasing with speed and frequency for Litecoin because I think the market is trying to figure out, again, what I think is interesting about this sector is the relationships between these types of codes and protocols. You see another 2 bumps up here. So right now, watching these falling wedges, you go back, you see the falling wedge on Litecoin many times. It's actually, you can, and it's, again, it's just a nice practice. Draw the line here, you can see it. This one was not as noticeable, but it was really noticeable near the end here, like this. Again, these types of repetitious patterns, I mean, we're probably guilty of finding something that's not there right here. Maybe you start drawing this as the falling wedge and you get all excited, and because you've got a rising RSI, and a falling price here, and you get it. But again, you can, technically, if you look at it this whole way, your RSI features are technically backdrop all the way down to here, anyways, right? So you really want to keep a close eye on the bullish divergence aspect of your RSI, your relative strength index, as these prices are falling. Otherwise, you'll enter your wedge way too early. So keep that in mind. I really think Litecoin has given us a great example of the falling wedge. I was looking for that. We did see one here with, we're actually kind of watching one with Fetch unfold too. And again, these are just these are for gains as they come. This is not a long-term investment. These are just, okay, is there something available? If there is, here's an exit, or here's an entry, here's an exit, just stay consistent type of idea. Okay, so I'm going to roll over and I'm going to take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and sentiments. That was what I was looking at for Bitcoin and Litecoin. I do think Litecoin could make it to that next I guess, run-up point that we were looking at, which you can find it on TradingView. Again, if you don't follow us there, please do. It's around 10,000 Satoshis. Just want to make sure this live stream is working fluently. Give us those thumbs up if you like this content. I'm probably going to give you guys about an hour of time here while we chat. So let's take a look. Okay, cool. I see the chat's working. Great to see you guys. Missed your thoughts. Glad you're doing well. Thank you guys. Glad to see you as well. Looks good. Sounds good. I'm seeing questions about Raven, so I'll take a look at Raven. Are there a lot of sloth babies around? No, at this time of year, the sloths are usually hiding in the shade because it is quite hot out. Let's see. Chaotic Cryptus has learned a lot in this space. Yeah. Gabrielle has got a dip, but glad you're back. It's such a hot time in these markets. Yeah, I'll be here more frequently now that I know I have consistent upload speeds too. We've got faster internet in the jungle, and they're actually even talking about bringing fiber out here. But I currently get around 50 to 60 megabits a second up and down. Link is pumping, so it's questions about, you guys want to see XTZ, Raven, Link. Okay, I'll try to remember all these. I'll jump in and take a look here in a second. It's like the old days with Tio, the charts and the bull market. Yeah, it's good to be back, guys. I missed the bear cave. I am going to do some videos about the novel coronavirus, mostly because I think it's very important that we pay attention to data as it starts to be more prevalent coming out of, not out of China. Although there's some really, really interesting stuff about keeping an eye on it, and that's why I like it. It's some of these topics where you don't really want to skim the borderline of being speculative too often, but you want to draw a storyline and try to understand some of what's going on before it becomes necessary to really act on things that are going on. And I think the WHO right now is doing itself a disservice by taking a reactionary measure instead of proactive. I mean, what China's done to lock down all of its roads in and out of Wuhan and closing down some of its biggest cities, this is unparalleled. I can't imagine what would spawn them to do something that would incur such drastic measures on so many people. It really gives you a moment to stop and pause and ask ourselves the question: are we getting reliable data out of China? And so there's some very interesting stuff we'll go over again. All of the pages I have open on the other side are all Johns Hopkins University, Harvard, etc. I'm trying to look at as many peer-reviewed papers as possible, and the papers that aren't being don't have enough time to be peer-reviewed. Again, we have people working on this stuff around the clock, and to have a peer-reviewed piece come out, it takes time. So I'm just kind of reading through everything, and I think it's a very important thing to keep an eye on, not to be a fearmonger, but the potential of these types of things can be catastrophic in terms of the near future. So nothing to worry about as far as I can tell at the moment, but being proactive, I think, is important here. So I'm going to start doing a few videos on the coronavirus and my particular thoughts, because I think it's important when the mainstream media is acting so dovish, when it probably should be a bit more hawkish in its sentiments. And just so everyone knows, I've been long collecting N95 masks. I'm a huge fan of them ever since I had that bear one. This is my this is a nano carbon surgical grade N99 mask. I believe that's supposed to remove 99% of all particulates. It wraps around the back. You can tighten it so it's got that seal around the front of your face. Anyways, I jokingly said like 7 months ago that starting a mask company would be super good. Like I was, because I was convinced that these were some of the next fashion accessories. Like, oh, I don't want any earrings, but look, I look like motherfucking Scorpio from Mortal Kombat right now. Oh well. Anyways, I guess try to bring a little bit of a lighthearted sentiment to a fairly deep and real life topic. Hearts go to all the families who have lost loved ones over the last little while, to anything, I guess, really, whether it's coronavirus or not. I think I like that there's a statistical aspect to the worldwide video game apparatus that's being played. I think it's really interesting. So anyways, I'm going to flip this back. I'm going to stop shit talking. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of a ranty rant again. That's not epidemic predictions of a novel coronavirus. I like reading stuff. Okay, you guys wanted me to take a look at Raven, XTZ, and Link, I believe. So let's start with Raven. In the private area, we had been watching Raven on this. It was looking like we were going to get a nice falling wedge out of it, and then what we see is just kind of a flat triangle. Very different to the falling wedge that we saw back here. Again, we were looking for that similarly here, and we did get a nice breakout, but again, we didn't get the full extension that Raven has shown us in the past, and due to that, I have actually, I said back here that I wasn't going to enter a position, even though there's the potential for these gains, again, which we're seeing right now, up to around 397, maybe 500 Satoshis, which again represents like a 50 to 70% potential here. I want to look for a further confirmation of an upside before I enter, and this was likely to me going to close at least one more time on this triangle. Now if it closes above that and stays again specifically above that, which it's looking like it might here, then yes, more interested in a potential position with Raven on the short term, but again, I think we're going to see a further close out of this triangle before we see any bigger movement either up or maybe come annihilating back into nothing slowly. You wanted me to take a look at Link. I know a bunch of the Bear family have been following Link for quite some time. I've got it open on the daily versus Bitcoin. It's just been a real monster. Again, I know some of you guys that were trading this one. So again, we don't offer anyone trading calls. I show you what I'm looking at, the trades that I'm making, but really we want everyone to be able to empower their own their own trading style and technique. That way you don't need someone to tell you what to do or hold your hand. You get a much more dynamic approach, like, okay, well, this is what I should do in these particular situations. That way it's fundamentally valuable for you. Now, we've hit a top here. Let's see. Yeah, wow, look at Link. It's impressive, I guess, right? From 2018, you've pretty much had... from July 2018, you've pretty much had a bull run the whole time versus Bitcoin at almost 1,000%. Chainlink alone versus Bitcoin in the last year was 10 times higher than Bitcoin. That's pretty fantastic. Hats off to anyone who entered Chainlink from Bitcoin last year. I know there was some of the Bear family that was entering and playing with this one. You got to focus on what interests you, and I think that's another important sentiment here that nobody forgets, is that Go with what interests you. That's the best investment. Like I've been telling people to buy Tesla for the last year. I never mentioned it on this show, mostly because I try to stay focused on just crypto stuff. And actually that reminds me, we should include other things that I'm interested in. There are companies that are investing in MDMA and psilocybin that I've been looking at, and I just don't talk about them here. So maybe I'll start adding those to my talk list as well, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that interests me, and I think that that's the underlying fact that always leads to more success, is that go with stuff that interests you. So I don't know what interested the people that were looking at Chainlink, that they thought this was a great idea. Well, they were obviously right. Truth be told here, by September 2018 to today, you're sitting at at a median here at 600% of your initial investment versus Bitcoin again too. I don't chart in US dollars for exactly this reason. I don't want to know how much versus Bitcoin this has gone up. So very interesting. What do I think about its potential? Let's take a bit of a closer look at the minutia here. You do see this ascending triangle coming into play here, and I usually wait for the breakout or the breakdown. Again, triangles don't necessarily give us a clear direction. Only that something is going to happen is really the best, your best sentiment. So in these types of rising or ascending triangles, I don't take a position until it gives me what it wants to do, right? So currently we've got a fairly strong area of take profit area. This is basically this blue line versus this red line on my volume profiler are basically the differences between the gaps of the buys and the sell pressure, essentially, if I'm just to short phrase it. So this is like where we would come down to. This is kind of what's holding us up. So you could see it as this would be real support, and it's kind of been the resistance line too. See, even though we had this big spike up, you have secondary resistance here again, which on this line I'll draw. This one I'll draw. I'll see if like a secondary area of resistance here, which you can see we've hit 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? Multiple times we've hit this second area of resistance, but this has been our area of resistance where we come back down and like suppression. You also take this the downside selling area too. So this is like our middle ground for suppression. Anyways, point of the story is there is room for downside, but again, I don't know the fundamentals of Chainlink. We could go over to CoinGecko, type in Chainlink, and take a look here, I guess. Number 18. Yes, chai tea. Ladies and gentlemen, chai tea is good. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at the market cap. Wow, what? Really? Well done, Chainlink, at billions in market cap. That's impressive. Let's see, where did they start? Jesus, 250 million in market cap back in March 2019. That's really impressive. I mean, the fact that, look, first off, let's get our heads around this idea properly. I would have thought this was an astronomically large amount of money just a few years ago. I would have thought $1 billion, well, that's crazy. And then I started to meet people in my life, people I consider friends, and, well, they consider me their friend too, but I guess I was going to say people I consider my mentor. They are my friends, but I consider them my mentors as well. And when I'm like, oh, your company is doing $9 billion a year in revenue, and then I'm like, oh, these market caps, they seem just a little bit more tangible, right? Like, I don't have that much money. No, we're fucking close. But what I can do is at least it gives me a type of realization. Is like, oh, okay, well, there are single individuals that do that on a 9 times basis every year for simple product base, not simple product, but well-made products. So a $1 billion market cap isn't necessarily all that high, especially for a tech company. It's maybe even undervalued depending on what it is. So if I'm just assuming that as a tech side, it's even undervalued. And that was one of the big things that happened with Tesla, for those of you guys that don't know. One of the reasons why the price started to shoot up is because I think the analysts started to realize that Tesla doesn't necessarily just sit as a single cell model. You might have subscription upgrades where you can have different packages. Your car can do all these different types of things. You can pay a certain amount of money every month for different types of driver, AI, beta pro, who knows, whatever it might be. And I started viewing Tesla as a tech company. not just an automotive company. And when you think about all the engineering that goes into building driverless cars, not just the automotive, there's a lot in there that's considered tech or software. And I think that's one of the reasons why Tesla all of a sudden just had a monstrous last few weeks, is because people started realizing that this is not just an automotive company, this is a tech company. And Chainlink is also a tech company. Again, so these billion-dollar market cap explanations you can find, fairly common. Again, I haven't done a whole lot of research into Chainlink, so I don't want to dive into it too much. But again, for those of you that I saw in the Bear family that were jumping in on this one, you guys knocked it out of the bank. Knocked it out of the bank. Cool. I'll read a little bit more up on Chainlink now, just because I've got it open, I guess. We'll dive back into the charts. I think you guys said XTZ. We'll do another 15 minutes here because it's the good old days. XTZ to Bitcoin. Don't even know what this is. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Interesting. So, very, very... okay, again, what I like about this is actually not a very long period of time. This is only on the daily. Okay, it's not very long. Never mind. Let's see. I wouldn't be buying into it now. That's for sure. I mean, you just have a fairly consistent test of the bottom here and peak out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and almost 6 now, 7 if you can include these in the back. If you take even a bigger frame, it's gonna have like almost 9 or 10 hits on this suppression area here. So I don't know what XTZ is. I'm not going to dive into deeply right now, unless XTZ is a Zcoin, but I don't believe it is. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. I will take a look at a few more of your guys' questions and thoughts. Okay, let's take a look here. Nice, good to see everyone. Yeah, thanks. Hi guys, it's good to see you back at the tube. Yeah, it had been a while. Building Rivers of the Sky. I took some time off the last month here. I think some of you guys noticed I got a bunch of messages from you guys asking when I was coming back. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support. I really like doing these videos. I'm going to start again varying the content to anything that's interesting me, so keep your guys' eye on that. But again, what I also am very interested in is the development and the growth of these markets, because we've just never seen anything like it. And it's we're maybe not. We're making history. All of this as it happens is making history. Whether you want to be very specific about the details or not on what part of history was going on. It's just an exceptionally wonderful time to be alive and grateful to be here. So producing the things, videos that have always moved me. Again, I like charting and technical analysis because it has some fundamental relationships to the universe, like fractals, different types of pattern recognition. Every time we go in and use the Fibonacci tool, it's just a helpful reminder that we are a part of something that is significantly bigger than us. And you can kind of get lost in the waves and rhythms of each of these patterns as they unfold, trading, playing. I mean, I'm gonna, whatever, trying to win the game or whatever people want to call it. So the sentiment that I want to kind of end that part with is that, Arcane Bear and the YouTube channel has been this wonderfully a kind of exotic playground for me to share all of, from music to the video work to just ranting to different guests and shit talking, from solar physics to PhDs in biology and PhDs in theoretical and practical physics. This has just been such a great gift. I really am so grateful to all the Arcane Bear family to being able to allow me to have such a varied conversation, and still you guys share your attention and your thoughts and your hearts with the work that we do, because I guess I'm sorry I can't make videos all the time for you guys. I wish I could be here all the time just smashing out videos. We'll keep working on. And Duncan, thank you for that one, clarifying that XCZ is Tezos. The web bot potential mystery coin that might outperform all of the coins. I do remember Tezos now. Thank you for the name clarification. I didn't jump into that one. You guys do have, I want to give you another little bit of chunk of time here. Give us those thumbs up if you haven't done so. If you want to sign up for our private newsletter, you can go to arcanebear.com and you can join there, or don't join, whatever, I don't care. It's for the adventurous. May the adventurous and education's willing, savvy. Obviously, I don't speak very good English. Anyways, the rants. May the rants continue. Okay, let's take a look here. Woo, bonus round. Okay, you guys, you're gonna have to look at this screen, I guess. Okay, let's take a look here. Digibite, please. XTZ. TO buy some XRP. Okay, XTZ and DGB I can see. So yeah, the XTZ is Tezos. We'll take a closer look. It's doubled off that bottom. I would be a little weary at the moment, but I'll keep an eye on those tops. Thank you again, Duncan, for clarifying that one. Look at Digibite. I like Michael York here. Super funny. Hey, Michael, I don't know if you've noticed, but none of this is investment and trading advice. First off, secondarily, we never invest in anything that we talk about here. These are all generally very short-term swing trades. So any of the tokens that we were looking at a bull market, we generally try to sell in a bull market. It's not like a potato that I want to take home. It's like these are games of hot potatoes. You're looking to take profits and move those profits into other areas and assets in life, whether it's diversifying into owning your own home, ta-da, or whatever it might be that you're interested in investing into, I think is important. So just to be very clear here, I never, ever once suggested anyone invest in any of those things. I've always said Bitcoin is my storehold, and the others offer the opportunity to essentially pivot into productive trades and education standpoints. So don't worry, I'm not angry. I again, none of that stuff really matters to me. I really don't care, mostly because I think when you're following a wave, like ride the wave, wave's over, get off the wave before the waves are over. I don't know, seems simple enough. That's why I generally also am very stoked that so many people stick around for the talks with the PhDs in astrophysics, because it really weeds out the people that aren't capable of sticking around through such diverse ranges of discussion. Because again, in the world of trading, you don't want to just hold a trade for a very long period of time. I mean, we can go through for innumerable examples, and every one of them we look at it will show exactly what we've showed before. Let's take Digibite as an example, because one of you guys wanted to look at Digibite. Digibite is a beautiful example for how long you have the opportunity to take advantage of a high in a trade versus a low, or even not just a low. Let's say low and bull market. So we'll make it 3. You have 3 opportunities right now, and Digibite is going to be our example. So currently, wait, hold on. Okay, good. You guys can see the screen. We're looking at Digibite, and this is in remarks to Michael York's sentiment here. That way I can express my thoughts here and process quite easily. Okay, so in any trading pattern, right, and we're going to use Digibite as an example, you have almost, and we're going to call this long period here where there's nothing happening, we're going to call that I mean, you can actually probably go back here if you look at just this first spike. Let's see. We'll give it a bit more frame so we can see how many small spikes. Okay, this is 1,000% spike. Right, so let's actually just use the first few little spikes of Digibite here just to boot. So over top right now, we're just going to use this little time frame before it started to explode. We have 888. That was the perfect number, right? Pretty much there. We've got 888 days in reference, right? So if you break that in half, it's 444 days. Or if you want to break that in quarters, it's 222 days. So over the course of 222 days, you have the majority of it, which is doing nothing. But for a very short period of time, there are 3 expressions for less than how many days in this one? less than 20 days on the first expression of an up pattern. Again, these are hundreds and hundreds of percent in uptick. Again, let's see, uptick. You have a 25-day expression pattern at 340% uptick, right? Followed by 120 days in down, right? So what you get for up is around 30 days, and what you get down is like 3 times to 4 times that. And that's actually fairly consistent. We can fractal out on DigiByte again here. The point of a trade is to enter and exit in a productive manner, right? So here, again, and DigiByte is really mellowed out right now. It's going into like hibernation mode, which is what you want to see from a token before it generally see big explosions. Again, DigiByte is one of the tokens I think could do that. It's a very, very, well, whatever. It's undervalued in comparison with something like Litecoin or Dash, and it has many of the same features, functionalities, and capabilities. And this is what I call the baby Bitcoins. But anyways, those are the only ones I've ever mentioned, and those were only for people that are in the private bear den because they willingly agree and click to know that none of this is financial advice. And that's essentially what you pay for, is to know that you're got to be in charge of your own decisions. So again, the sentiment here is that you have approximately on, wow, 70 days for 6,000% gain, followed by a non-productive 177 days in down, right? Okay, so here we see a productive 30 days, 600% up, followed by an unproductive 80 to 90 days down, right? So this is almost always twice as long, if not even longer. Currently, we're on, you could just say we're the down from the one, and this whole thing has been a down for 990 days, right? So again, I think everyone when you're learning about trading, the important part is to really understand that these peaks and lows happen all the time. Especially because, again, if you listen very carefully to what I'm saying, my interest is in the relationship between something like Litecoin and Bitcoin on the long term. What if you had bought Litecoin back here versus Bitcoin? It's the exact same place. It has not moved. In reality, Litecoin hasn't changed its fucking price since 2015 versus Bitcoin, right? And also, you can have the same fluctuation up here. This has been this consistent high for Litecoin versus Bitcoin. And at what point do you consider this, and then this is why I think, again, it's so important to understand the subjective relationship between these types of ideas, because they're crypto trades. You're trading between, let's use Litecoin and Bitcoin now, because where we are as an example, you're trading between the highs and the lows of the speculative value of these totally different protocols. And that's something that's important to remember, because they can flop out into nothing. Dogecoin is just a beautiful thing that, like the beautiful idea that, like, oh wow, memes and community are so important. So again, I never invest long-term into, look, peaks and troughs. Life is full of peaks, troughs. Peaks and troughs. You got to know when you want to diversify and re-enter or reallocate into your portfolio. Like, now is not the best time to buy Tesla. Wait till it recapitulates, and then again, you can probably see a much higher price in something like Tesla. They think it's a frigging, and I agree with them. It's a software company now. It is a digital design company. It's not just automotive. It's 3D imaging for being able to drive these cars without drivers. There's a huge amount of data and value. It's astronomical in its price in comparison with where it's at. So it could easily go to like $1,500, right? Anyways, completely besides the point. But what I am trying to get across here is that when you're trading, you're always looking at highs and lows in an evaluation of something. And here we have Litecoin from 2013 to 2020, and more or less it stayed in this beautiful little channel of around it's stayed in a channel of around 50% variance in its price to Bitcoin. And that's what's interesting to me. And again, this just highlights the types of trades that I'm interested in, something that's going to likely persist. Because in that way, even if you take a bad trade, multiple times Litecoin has given you the opportunity to exit at a positive. That's almost like insurance. Just wait. Just fucking wait. You bought Litecoin. You wanted to be higher in Bitcoin's price. You can just fucking wait. Probably do it again. Look how many times it's done it since 2013. Just wait. Put a sell there. Maybe you'll wake up one day, you'll sold all your Litecoin back for Bitcoin and made an extra 200% off your Litecoin at that one particular time. Like, I think it's just understanding. Generally, people don't want to understand enough about something to know how many little variations there are and what it is that's being done. But like, oh, I just bought Veritasium or Pillar. They're like, there's very fast gains off that sentiment, and this is all. That's all this is for Litecoin too. It's just you're analyzing sentiments and emotions. So it's a very, very interesting topic. Let's see. I did take a look at Digibyte. It's like I didn't get too closely into it here. We are seeing a small falling wedge. I would keep an eye on this. We do see a rising RSI pattern too, although again it's peaked out even in on the daily. So I'm not interested in it, although I did take a position around 100 here. So I did enter a position here. Again, I'm going to set a sell at a probably around here, 500, where we see multiple points of resistance again, and just walk away from those trades, because these are like almost like lottery tickets. Again, just like Litecoin, you have a multi-year relationship here, and you have many times where Digibyte has spiked up all of a sudden 10,000%. What the fuck? Look from this. Look at this. This is just absurd. And look how little time you had to take advantage of it. Let's say you went from here to here. You had less than 30 days to recognize the Digibyte was up at a high, open your wallet, get it on exchange, and then trade it back for something like Bitcoin, right? And it's about rebalancing your portfolio. If you see these highs, you're not going to just sit on it, because nothing stays that high, especially now that we're watching an entirely new ecosystem of finance develop right in front of our eyes. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that for my my analysis and my rant talking. That wasn't directed at you, Michael York, as a stab. Again, I think it's important to understand the difference of these. Digibyte has no adoption. Again, it's very easy to move those things. Doge is nothing but a meme. Adoption is nothing but a particular moment in time when things change. We see that across the board. Right, we had electric cars in the early 1900s. It's like, oh yeah, 2020. Now it's time for electric cars. Well, what changed? What changes? We don't know exactly. So it's important to pay attention. Let's see. Roll back. See the quick thoughts here. Michael, this idea about finding people that are clearly scams, I would have a hard line against that. I'm not a fan of the SEC. Look, in general, I don't think regulation does good things. I think it allows people to not learn how to think critically. I don't know enough about tech to really get into arguments about this type of stuff. Like, I don't even know how the internet works really. Like, I know TCP/IP protocols connect through routers, and you have this communication line that goes through, and you're delivering a bunch of data that basically creates this screen on a graphical user interface. But that is a ridiculous amount of complex information that I really don't understand, and someone could scam me on the building of it really easily. So I do definitely recognize that there's a large gap in my technical understanding. Like, you could sell me a fake computer to some degree, and on the inside I wouldn't be able to tell. Right? Like, how could I tell? Anyway, so the point of the sentiment is it's not really necessarily if it's like there's obvious scams, and the tech space is one of the places to do it, because you could present a product that has no real fundamental underlying merits or value to it whatsoever pretty easily, and solidity isn't necessarily that difficult to hide or to write, right? So I think it's important to I think it's important to keep a diversified mindset. So so Michael York is saying, well, what's your long-term picks? flips are risky. Well, trading is for the short term. It's investments on the long term. Again, let's use Litecoin as an example, right? Here, Litecoin is a great example of, well, what are we looking at? You're looking at the growth of an ecosystem that's actually keeping a relationship to itself. What good is the investment if it stays pretty much exactly where it is in relationship with one another? Okay, look, well, technically Litecoin's almost keeping pace with Bitcoin, right? Completely different technology. Like, well, not technically it's fucking Bitcoin, right? It's the same thing. It's like a Bcash or a Soshi's Vision, whatever you want to call it, right? They're keeping a relative relationship to one another. And that's what's fascinating, is that these are each their own little living financial experiment now. And it's up to people how they want to use them, what they want to build on top of them, what type of playground they want to essentially play with, and that's what I really like about Litecoin as an example right now. So, well, what's my long-term pick? It's like, well, look, if Litecoin from 2013 to 2020 has stayed pretty much within a 50% range of variance, well, then Litecoin's a great investment too, right? Because it's a counter hedge to something like Bitcoin, where there's always inherent risk. Bitcoin is still centralized. It's still a single version of protocol and code, even though it's not, So having multiple tokens, areas where you can, again, diversify, I think is important. Okay, well, what are your top coin picks? It's like, okay, well, do you own any property? Do you own equity in other businesses? Do you, right? I mean, these are great questions. I think that a lot of people overlook, and they're just focused on, well, what's the next cryptocurrency? I'm much more of a broad spectrum approach to the play that I like to make, just because I think it in the long term bodes better for my own sanity. Like, when I was 20 years old, I had a girlfriend who had like 50 or 60 million dollars. I spent a bunch of years living in $10 million homes and driving $100,000 sports cars. And one of the things I can tell you for sure is that no matter how much money you have, because there was times when before I met her, I was actually I was hitchhiking to Central America. I was sleeping in bus stops with like my bag and a tent and a drum. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I've lived both like categorically totally juxtaposed lives, and what's the same is your ability to like live and be grateful and have a rich experience. So what's my top point? Is like, well, I told a bunch of people I really like Tesla. I think Elon Musk is a fucking genius. The whole smashing of the window, this crazy box design in the car, it's just a genius. Like, what a great person to invest in. This guy's been knocking it out of the park. So it's not just about like a coin. I think the sentiment that I really want to drive home with everyone is like, well, what interests you? Some people saw Chainlink and it went right by me, right? I totally missed it. But for them, that's a 10x gain versus Bitcoin in the last 365 days. And that's what I want. I want people that are interested in finding their own. It was like, okay, well, you like Link. Well, I like tryptamines and investing in companies that are going to be at the frontier of psychedelic, like psychotherapy, essentially, and the potential, like recreational aspects of small doses of psilocybin mushrooms. And will there be companies selling that? That's what interests me, is the drive that underlines all of those things. Because if you can find something in life that drives you far enough to keep investing into it, you're going to find success. So, well, what's the top coin? I said, well, maybe it's not even a coin, right? Maybe the best place to put your money is just in something that you believe in. It doesn't even have to be a cryptocurrency, right? The stock market is going to continue to go up. Like here, let's take a look at the S&P 500. Look at that, S&P 500 at new all-time highs. Well, why? I mean, look, guys, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's not Bitcoin growth, but it's still, you got to remember how many people are on the planet. And even though I know this is like, we're the opposite of this, since 2018, this has given a 30% gain since the bottom for these people. It could be a huge amount of money for them. So the point of it is, if it's not just about the money, which it's obviously not for me, well, then it's what I'm interested in. So I can't tell you guys what your top picks are going to be, because you should find stuff that I don't find. You should see the chain links that I don't see, because whatever interests you, and again, that's going to be what drives you, to educate yourself, to study, to research, to become passionate about things. That's like such a valuable skill set. That's such a valuable tool to have. Anyways, again, I will quickly preface it though, and I'll give you a few that I do like. I'm a big fan of Matic, what they're doing. I'm a big fan of Digibyte. I think it's really undervalued, but that's mostly like, let's say, like a lottery ticket. Throw a few grand into something and just walk away. I don't care. I've got a sell set. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't really give a shit. It doesn't matter. Raven has had a few great flights for us, but doesn't really have my attention anymore. We'll see what it does with this this descending triangle. I've grown to really like Litecoin for this kind of reliable 50 to 60% return from these types of drops. So I'm actually looking for another 30% out of Litecoin here in the next little while. Whether it goes higher and again retouches our resistance line up here at 18,000 satoshis, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not really interested in just long-term investments in the crypto space. I really like Bitcoin. I've been a fan of it for a long time. I like all the baby Bitcoins, Digibyte, Dash, Litecoin. I like BSV. I like BCH. They're all Bitcoin in my mind. I stand by that sentiment. That's the sentiment I've had since I started this channel. I'll stick to my long-term sentiments that way. It's just easier for everyone. Anyways, we're almost running up on time here, so I'm going to give you guys just a few more rant question topics, and then we'll start coming back on a more frequent basis, and we'll even jump into some trades on the live sentiment as well. So there we go. Let's take a look. Bitcoin is still centralized. Yeah, it's centralized to a single blockchain. Again, that's why the decentralization actually comes from multiple versions of crypto, I think. That's why there's so many different options. I do believe option is a very, very key part. It's not what you make, what you keep. I like that quote. Faust, good work. Let's see. Magic mushrooms. That's fun. Great answers. Thank you. I really appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. It was a lot of fun to rant and jam with you guys today. We're at 56 minutes and 13 seconds of Tiho talking shit. This channel is not for anyone, any kids. I did have to click buttons about that. We did make extensive videos about that. Again, I'm really grateful to be back here producing videos, chatting with you guys. I think I'm going to get a little mic. I've got a mic stand, but listen how clear that sounds. When the mic is up close, you can like whisper a little bit and get like right into the sound. Oh, so maybe I'll get the mic stand set up. I've got a bunch of them technically. Here, look, you guys can see. I'll show you the other part of the room. Okay. Oh, see all those mic stands by the drum kit? Yeah, there's a bunch, but I don't use them in here. I have this like little freaking tripod stand for no particular reason. I should have it stand in front of me like a real podcaster. Come on, Tio, get your shit together. Aren't you a real podcaster? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tio with the Arcane Bear. I want to thank you for your time this evening. It was a lot of fun. You can hit me with a few more of your thoughts here before I do sign off, but I want to wish you all a wonderful evening, day, morning, night, wherever you happen to be in the world. I do like this microphone close to my face, as it does sound very, very sultry. Yeah, like if I was a good singer, I would totally sing right now. Anyways, I really, really appreciate all of your guys' support. Again, are you off to Mexico? I am not off to Mexico. Sadly, we did have to cancel our trip to Acapulco, but I did cancel with them a few months ago, so hopefully they were able to figure that out. I am getting back into gardening, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to be planting a bunch of plants over the next 2 or 3 months. So I will be here making videos with you guys quite frequently. Like I said, I'm going to be doing some videos about the coronavirus and just random things like investing, buying property, building houses, surfing, maybe even. I think I'm going to go back out surfboarding. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I really like having this mic so close. You guys are all fantastic. Bear family. I am going. Hey, look, it's Stay Content. Good to see you, Stay Content. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad to be back online and live. Did you guys like how fast the internet was too? Oh my God, we can stream. We can stream every day. We could do this every day, guys. I could just jump on here. We could hang out for like an hour or two. I could grab the guitar right now. I could play some music. What do you guys think? Should I play some Should I play some guitar for the last 2 minutes? There's 74 of you guys online right now. Give me a yes or the number 1 on the chat there if I should play some guitar for the last few minutes, and then otherwise I'm gonna just leave you with this. You know, it sounds so much better when the mic is close. I really like it. I'm almost addicted to it. Okay, you should do it. Play. Okay, we'll grab the guitar. It should still be in tune. Okay, so I've been working on a folk album the last little while. Let's see, like what, 10 years? I've been writing a folk album for the last 10 years. And yeah, that's a funny story. But there's this riff I've been digging on lately, and it sounds like this. Oh, we should probably try to get the microphone as close to the guitar as I do for my voice, because it probably sounds just as good, doesn't it? It sounds like it's gonna sound better, isn't it? If we get the mic super close to the guitar, it's gonna sound as good as with my voice. Oh, it's a little out of tune, but that's okay. Okay, that's it. We'll leave you guys with that. Stay with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We will see you again probably tomorrow.